so old.
It's always so hard.
Audio is so low.
You know? This is strange, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know, I do have that same thing myself. I took a photograph, and about, I don't know, 7 or 8 months later, a copy of it arrived at my house in Australia, and the guy basically just, you know, written Russell Crowe, Australia, and sent it to me. So I have a copy of it, and it's a funny thing, you know, it's like, I was there, it was the Boxing Hall of Fame. I was there with Angelo Dundee, and he was there with Barry McGuigan.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It was just unexpected, you know. It was cool. He was such a nice fellow too.
Daniel Day-Lewis is a real legend because he's one of those guys who just like disappears for a couple of years in big shoes.
Yeah.
Just a real artist.
It's quirky stuff.
Just
and
gone.
suddenly comes back with a vengeance and a fury.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at that.
Yeah, he's.
You know, some of us have to work for a living, maybe. You know, he's probably got independent wealth.
He's just a different kind of human. You know, any guy who can just walk away like that and just decide to make shoes, like that's the real deal.
It's pretty special.
Some people try to pretend to be quirky. You know, they try to pretend to be eccentric, and then there's the real thing.
The actual eccentrics.
Yeah, the actual eccentrics are so fascinating to me. And yeah, for a guy like, you know, to meet a guy like that, he's one of those odd ones. But you are too. It's like, it's always, it's interesting to hear from a person that is a guy like you that still feels weird to meet people that are, you know, that you admire their work. I always feel the same way, and I always feel like this is gonna go away. And I'm like, no, Russell Crowe. Oh wow! I met Dennis Quaid the other day. Same thing. It's like, oh, it's Dennis Quaid.
Cool.
It seems so strange.
Yeah. If I was to explain to my childhood self, my 10-year-old self, what was in front of me, and the people that I would meet, and things that I would experience, and the context that you have come a long way, but just my little brain would just explode. There's just no way I could have possibly imagined this life was going to unfold in front of me.
How could you? I mean, you'd have to be.
Someone
so
crashed.
ambitious. You'd have to have the most crazy expectations possible.
Yeah, and I would, you know, my first thing when I was leaving school is just don't have a boring life. Just don't, you know, find some way of like being able to express yourself. My first job out of school, my first official job, was working for an insurance company, Commercial Union Insurance, inputting the details and policies.
Not off to a great start.
Oh, man. It was a funny thing though, because I learned, you know, a lot in my short time. In the summer before, I'd worked as a nightclub DJ, and I got fired because I couldn't talk. I was too nervous to talk on the microphone.
Wow.
So after like 5 or 6 weeks, they shuffled me off. And the guy really, you know, dug what I was playing and how I got the dance floor moving and everything. But, you know, he says, you know, I need to sell toasted sandwiches, man. You have to tell people that the kitchen's open. So, you know, I left school partway through the last year. In New Zealand, they have a different thing where you have a bursary year after normal high school finishes, and in your bursary year, if you achieve to a certain degree, you get money towards your university degree. And it was clear to me in that last year, my dad was out of work, and I wasn't going to be able to go to university. We couldn't afford that sort of thing. It only would have cost.
Oh my God, that car is
I watched those new shoes get age on them. He started cracking on the side and stuff like that, you know, because he obviously used them a lot, did a lot of walking around talking to people, you know. And just as I was leaving, I overheard a discussion where he was planning on getting some new shoes again. And I was like, yeah, I definitely don't want to be that. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be that guy. You know?
I had a similar situation when I was driving. We were driving limos, and it was one of my jobs I was doing when I was trying to make it as a stand-up comedian. And you would work long hours. Like, if you tried to leave after 8 hours of yelling, like they wanted you to work 12, 16 hours a day. There's just one guy, and he had a Cadillac. And the boss pulled us aside and says, "Look at this guy. He's got a Cadillac. He makes $60,000 a year, and he doesn't have to bust his ass. He's sitting down all day in a nice car, driving people around, and this could be you too." I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. That was my first thought, because I knew that guy was working 16-hour days. That's all he did. All he did was work. Yeah, he had a nice car. I'm sure he had a nice house. I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Sometimes people like that are good for you. They're like, the universe puts them in front of you just so you can say, this is a trap.
Yeah, well, here's your example.
Yes. Yeah.
So what do you want, option A or option B?
Did you ever meet anyone who was an actor? Did you know of anyone that had made a living doing that? Listen, people, work out to feel good and be healthy, but also to look good. And if you're wondering why you keep working out, you still have a bit of a dad bod going on, it could be because your gut isn't digesting your food properly. Gut health is super important to support your digestion, reduce bloating, keep you regular. AG1 not only contains your daily vitamins and minerals, but it also includes pre and probiotics and other gut benefiting ingredients. There's so much good stuff packed into AG1, and gut health is a huge part of it. And I'm a big fan of that, and I have been for years. On top of digestion, AG1 covers your bases with nutrients that are hard to get in a modern diet. It's all about building a foundation for your whole body health. AG1 isn't just the best, it's a research-backed blend that has what your body needs to function at its best. So try AG1 and get a free bottle of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/Joe Rogan. That's a $48 value for free if you go to drinkag1.com/Joe Rogan. Check it out. Seriously, you won't regret it.
Well, all through my life, for sure. Because,
Yeah, thank you.
my parents at a certain point in time were caterers on film sets. So that's how I got my first job. So my mum's godfather was a TV producer who was famous in the Australian industry. Not so much anymore because the generations passed. But he was the tightest producer to work for, the cheapest bastard on the planet, you know, and he was famous for that. And I mean, I still know Jack Thompson today. You know, I did a scene with Jack Thompson. I was 6 years old. Did my first line of dialogue on camera with him. Made a movie with him playing his son when I was 25 or 26, something like that. I bought a property near where his property is in the bush because he was kind of like a mentor, you know. Not, you know, I mean, still talking about an hour's drive, but in the bush, that's nothing.
Right.
And you know, I still know him today, and he's in his 80s now, you know. So I had people like that, and I like when I was 12, I went to so I did an acting job when I was 6, and another one when I was 8, right? And then I kind of forgot about it for a while. And then I went on a school tour of a TV studio, and there was a TV show called The Young Doctors that was being made in that studio, and there was a bit part actor, a guy called Roy Harris Jones, who had been on a couple of the shows that my parents had done, and I liked him a lot, and blah, blah, blah. I hadn't seen him for years, and there he was on that show. And you know, while the other kids are there going on their tour, he goes, "Are you here for an audition?" I said, "No, I haven't done anything like that for ages." bunch of 1950s records because it's a 1950s music only club. Have you got a turntable? I said, I've got one. So I went in that night with like an orange plastic sharp turntable, right? Plugged it in through the headphone socket and played these records. But I had one turntable, so I couldn't switch. So I have to talk, because every time a song finishes, I have to pick up the pick up the record, get the next one, put it down, then put things. So it was just a crazy circumstance. It was created to make sure that I absolutely broke through whatever that fear was immediately. Now that I had another chance, I ended up staying, working pretty much full time for about 4 years in that job, but it expanded a whole bunch of other stuff because the guy started getting me to perform on stage. When the guy that I was working with, once he started hearing my songs and everything, he said, "All right, okay, the third set, at the end of the night, you come on, just do your songs. Though you're not allowed to do songs people know." So I'd have to go out. People be listening to these old classic 1950 songs all night, and now there's some young pimply bloke in front of them singing bullshit. They're like, "What are you doing?" But it was a real, baptism of fire. He also had me tour with him. So we would be on, Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Auckland, in the big city, and then Sunday through Wednesday, we're in a truck and a car and everything. We're touring. We're going playing these other pubs and stuff. And he fancied himself, because it's an anachronistic thing. His whole life, this guy that I was working for, was about the 1950s. He wore blue suede shoes, or wicker-pickers, stovepipe trousers, draped coats. He had a Cadillac, probably the only Cadillac in New Zealand at the time. And he had this thing about Elvis used to have a comedian opening for him, so somebody should go out and tell jokes before I come on, right? And so part of my job was to walk out and tell a joke that he had told me to tell, right? I couldn't make up my own material, right? And these jokes were fucking terrible. They were just trash, and trying to make that thing work. And one night I said to him, why don't you let me just go out and say something actually funny or whatever? He goes, because I want people to be happy to see me, right?
Oh my God, so he set it up on purpose.
Absolutely. He actually said to me at one point in time, never ever, as a performer, never ever bring somebody on stage who's better than you. And as I was a guest for him on stage every night of the week, I was like, oh, right, so you're telling me I'm shit. The only reason I've got the job is because I'm shit, because I make you look better. But I, in my own sort of performing life, over time, I changed that rule completely. I only ever bring somebody on stage who's going to absolutely shred the room. Over time, with the live performances, we've had guests like Elvis Costello, Sting. Last year, Michael Bublé got up with us. He did an Elvis song at the end of the show, just at the Sydney Opera House. Actually killed the room. Rita Ora got up last year. RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan.
Whoa.
He got up. He's a mate of mine, Bobby Dix. We got up in a 300 standing room only little pub in Balmain, an area of Sydney, and then suddenly, the RZA's on the stage. It was
wow.
Cool. Yeah. So. I learned a lot from him, but I didn't learn the things he was trying to teach me.
Well, that's a great philosophy to have the best people go in front of you. We have a similar problem with that in comedy. Like a lot of big name headliners, they like to bring terrible opening acts,
right.
So they're like a hero and they rescue the show.
Right.
I have the exact opposite. I have your approach.
Right.
I try to bring the best people possible.
Yeah.
Makes it more fun. It's more fun for me too.
It's more fun for the audience too.
Yes.
That's the whole thing about live performance is catering for the audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
The energy of the show.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy? Do you enjoy one thing more, or do you enjoy both things?
That's a very difficult question to answer without pages of nuance, because
I enjoy nuance.
well, I'll give it a go. The bottom line is I love my job. I love working on films. Every single day that I'm walking towards the camera, I will have a plan. I know what I'm about to do, and I chose to be here, right? I work with lots and lots of actors who just took the role because of blah blah, right? They're not really there because of the work. But when you know the job and you know that you're talking about
Okay, I'm gonna stop the stream soon because I'm gonna check out some things I need to do
working in extreme conditions and stuff like that.
at this place tomorrow. I have to measure how tall the roof is so I can order a lift so I can work. I don't want to use a ladder that is 15 meters tall.
And I will generally do the
That is not safe.
under my skin. You know, it can have a great
Yeah, catch you later.
wonderful director, can have enough great cast in it, but if I read it and I don't get personally attached to it,
I'm gonna listen more to that interview later with Joe Rogan.